Hello and welcome to Spirit Forest. I am going to talk today about how to get your woman out camping and how she can enjoy it. So stay tuned. I got asked by Viking Bushcrafter to answer this question. And I think it's a really interesting question, and I can't answer it just straight out because I got to give you my experience of camping with a man first. I laugh because I have some stories of camping with men, and it's you could tell it's just not their thing. Okay, I have 3 stories to share with you about camping with a man, and it starts with me being in my 20s. So, in my 20s, I was looking for the man that I was going to marry, just like any other woman. I needed a man that liked the wilderness area, but I also wanted one that could also be in the city as well, because I knew that with my type of job that I'm doing, that I would always be in the city. He was beautiful. This man, he was beautiful. He had like the perfect hair, perfect eyes, perfect body, you know, just beautiful. And we've been dating for about a month to a month and a half, and I was like, let's go camping. So I decided that he and I would go on a little adventure, because that's part of who I am. And you know, as much as you don't want to admit it, but you do test people in a relationship, and I was kind of doing that in a way. And so he said he camped before, and I said, okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna drive over to Moab, and I don't remember how far Moab is from Denver, but it's a ways of a drive, so it's almost a 2-day drive. So we were gonna drive halfway and then pitch up a tent and then drive the other half to go into Moab. I wanted to do mountain bike slick rock. So we get to our campsite, and he gets out and he's like checking out the area, but in the meantime I'm unpacking the car and all the gear to pitch up the tent, and I noticed that he seemed really busy, so I just kind of let him be, and I pitched up the tent, and I look over and he's like standing next to this tree, and I was wondering what he was doing. You know, I'm like, is he going to the bathroom? What is he doing over there? You know, so I already have the tent put up. There's a storm coming over the horizon, so I know the urgency of getting some shelter up. So I got the shelter up. I walk over to him and I said, what are you doing? And I look at the tree, and he literally has a mirror so that he could shave and fix his hair. He's made little like cup holders for his shaving cream and his toothbrush, and even with the tree, it had this like branch sticking out, and he stuck a toilet paper roll on it. And he was doing that for probably the whole time I was pitching up the tent. And I was like, I'm like, so do you need the mirror? He's like, oh yeah, we gotta, you know, it's all about hygiene. And so I was like, okay. Well, I knew I had another 4 days to camp with him, and I was like, you know, I'm gonna let this slide. I considered that to be kind of cute, you know, that he did that. And you know, I never used his little bathroom station, and I'm like, are you gonna go to the bathroom right here where you're gonna be fixing your hair? Is that why the toilet paper is there? And he's like, oh, I didn't even think about that. So another 4 days went by, and then the last day I was done. You know, it was he wanted to go into a hotel, and you know, I didn't have a lot of money, and I seem to always find men that don't have money either. So but he was really frustrated with me because he didn't want to stay in a tent anymore. Well, the last day we were heading back to Denver, so we had to pitch up tent somewhere. So we pitched up tent near this river. And at this point, I'm kind of like, okay, I've been pitching the tent up every time. Why don't you try to give it a shot, you know? And I'll get dinner going. And I made dinner every time too. So as he was pitching up the tent, or trying to pitch up the tent, and I'm making dinner, and again we're right on this river, and I'm you know, doing stuff to get the dinner ready, and I look over at the river and there's my tent floating down the river. I was like, holy cow, and he's standing there in the side of the river. This is like a raging river, you know. He's like, oh my god, it was just really windy, and my sleeping bag is also in that tent, which is like, that's my precious, you know. So there I go, all my clothes on, I had Tevas on at the time, which are sandals, and I jump into the river and I go grab the tent, and my sleeping bag was already zipped up in the tent, and I come back and everything is just soaked. Like, my sleeping bag is soaked, and you know, and he's like, I'm really sorry, and I'm just like, you gotta stake the tent down, especially because it was windy. So that is my first experience of camping with a man with very little camping experience. Okay, you ready for man number 2 camping experience? Now this guy, he was pretty honest. He says, you know, he's camped before, but it really wasn't his thing. But he'd be willing to do it, and it would be a lot of fun, and he can see it'd be a cool adventure. So, but he said he doesn't really like bugs. And I'm like, oh, okay, you know, I didn't really think of it because I didn't really think about the bugs. You know, Colorado has bugs, don't get me wrong. We got the ticks, we have the mosquitoes, we got a lot of flies, we got biting flies. So there are bugs out here. Well, the first time I put him, we went out backpacking, I pitched up the tent, and he helped me, so that was really nice. He helped me put up the tent, and then he just sat in the tent. Now, we pitched up tent about 3 o'clock, and he sat in the tent the whole time. And I'm like, what are you doing? Are you gonna get out of the tent? You know? I was like, are you hungry? And he's like, I don't like the bugs out there. And it is true, when you stop in Colorado, like if you're hiking, it's good. Like, the mosquitoes are not gonna bother you. But if you stop, those mosquitoes are on it, you know? And so, but I don't know, maybe I'm used to it. I don't know what I put bug spray on. He had bug spray too, but he just sat in the tent. So after a couple more times, I decided that I needed to give him a project to do, because he would just, we'd pitch up the tent and he'd go sit in there, and then I'd just be sitting outside by myself. And so I would give him all the sleeping bags and the pads, and so he had something to do. So he was, he didn't mind all the hiking stuff, which was nice, but he just didn't want to be outside in the environment. So he would get the whole tent ready, and I have to be honest, that was actually pretty nice. So anytime I came into the tent, my sleeping pad was blown up, my sleeping bag was all laid out, everything had its own little compartment, it was all pretty in there, you know. I have to admit, that was kind of nice. But then I got a little sick of, you know, always him in the tent and not outside the tent, and so to make it a little more comfortable for him, I bought him a mosquito net. So he could be outside. So it was really, if you hiked right by us, you would think, what's going on over there? I would put him in this big mosquito net, and he would sit there, and I would cook. But he would at least be outside with me, you know, but he would be in his little mosquito net. So that is story number 2. Okay, story number 3. This is a little bit more recent. I was dating, this is after my divorce, and I dated this guy, and I said, you know, I'm really into, you know, the outdoors and stuff. Is that something that you're interested in? And he said, yeah, oh yeah, I do outdoor stuff all the time. And he would tell me all these stories of all the stuff he's done. And I said, well, do you backpack? He's like, oh yeah, I backpack. And he's like, I have a backpack. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. I said, well, do you want to go backpacking? And I wasn't really testing, because at this point I'm not looking to remarry ever again. I'm just looking for a companion. And he's like, oh yeah, I got a backpack, I got all my stuff. And I'm like, okay, cool, that's great, you know. I said, let's go. So like we pack up the car, we're heading out, and this guy's super nice. I really liked him. But then I realized every bit of his gear is brand new. Like, there wasn't one thing there that was used. This is all the first time use of this gear. This is the first time he's taken the backpack out, first time for a pad, first time for a sleeping bag. He went out, and I don't know if it's just that he wanted to date me or whatever it was, but he went out and bought all this gear. And I was like, I'm like, oh my God. I mean, he must have spent like $1,000 or something, you know? And I was like, if you could have just rented this. But anyways, it was pretty cool, but he was like, he was brand new at it. And he was super nice, and you know, I had to teach him a lot of things. He wasn't as in shape, which doesn't bother me. You know, if I can always hike slower, I don't have a problem doing that. You know, but I got to show him a bunch of stuff, and he was really listening, and he was engaged on it. So I really liked that part, that he was really willing to be in the outdoors and willing to be in a tent. Unfortunately, he and I didn't work, and it wasn't because of outdoor stuff. It was another reason, but I do miss him. He's a lot of fun. He was a lot of fun to hang out with, but you know, sometimes it's just not the right one. But that is my experience. That was my third one. So now you know my experience of camping with men, and I would say that, you know, I have a couple more of those. I just chose 3 of them to tell you the story. The one that lasted the longest was the one with the bug net. And it was, I think, because I accommodated his needs. And I think that when you're hiking or camping or backpacking with a woman, you need to do the same thing. So if she has a fear about something, let's say her fear is to be cold. That is my fear in the outdoors, is to be cold. So think about the things that you could do to keep her warm. You know, if she doesn't have a really nice jacket, go out and, you know, get her a really nice jacket to hike in. Or do what I do, where I stick a bunch of hot water bottles all over me, and I'm telling you, I am extremely warm. So you really need to take on whatever fear it is that they have. If they're scared of the dark, you know, put on lights. Like I'm scared of the dark too, so I have little night lights everywhere. Let's see, another fear a woman could have is the noises when it gets really dark. And it's really more of the scared of the dark, because there's noises during the day. It's just you can't see what's going on. You know, I have played music before. My dog is scared of the dark, and so when he hears a noise, he just goes crazy. So I play like a little piano music in the background. You know, it's just kind of like a little lullaby type music. So you just got to be kind of creative in getting them to overcome their fear, and, you know, just kind of think outside the box of some things. Maybe it might be food, maybe it might be going to the bathroom outdoors. You know, there's a lot of fears, and you just got to think about how you can accommodate that fear. Another thing is, and this is truly important, is give your woman a task to do. Don't do everything. I see men do this all the time, and it drives me nuts. The woman just stands there and the man does everything. So like for me, I didn't like it that a man wouldn't help me put up a tent on my man number 1. He didn't help me put up the tent, you know? So by the time it came to like the 4th day, I wanted someone to help me put up the tent, and he needed to learn it. You know, and he just was not willing to learn it. All he wanted to do was set up his bathroom station. So give him a task to do. I did that again with my my scared of the bugs man, number 2. I always gave him a task. So like I said, he would get in the tent, and I would give him all the sleeping gear and everything out of both of our packs, and he would make the tent look great. So when I got in the tent, I felt comfortable. I knew where everything was. I knew my light was there. I knew my knife was there. You know what I mean? He had it all set up. So give her something to do. Don't just have her just stand there, because that's going to drive her nuts. Or she will expect it from you every time. And the time that she actually has to do something, she's not going to want it, because she's been treated like a princess the whole time. So in relation to my third man, my takeaway on that one was, it was great that he had that need to be in the outdoors. He wanted to be in the outdoors. He took that initiative to go out and buy all that gear so that he could be in the outdoors. If you have a woman that doesn't do that, most likely she's not going to like being in the outdoors, and you're just going to have to be okay with that. That is the woman that you have chosen. And hopefully she's okay with you going on solo adventures. I wouldn't force someone to be in the outdoors if they don't want to be there, because I think it's a big struggle for them. If they have a little bit of a need, or a little bit of a want, a little bit of a curiosity, you know, again, find out what their fears are, why they don't want to do it, and accommodate to those fears. Okay, I want to thank Viking Bushcrafter for having me answer this question. It was I had to think about it, you know, because a lot of times I can't get women outdoors. So, and part of me thinks I'm not sure I'm the right one to answer that because I am outdoors and I stayed the night here at 11 degrees last night, you know. So, yeah, but maybe I am the right girl. I don't know, but you know, try it out with your woman and see if any of what I've said works for you. And I want to thank you guys for watching, and I will see you on the next video. Thank you.